Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh Radia, and I'm your host. I love always starting this podcast just by saying thank you. I feel very, very blessed with everyone that listens to this podcast, all the messages I receive on a weekly basis. I was guided to start this podcast, and my intention was really just to guide people on their journey and to simplify spirituality. And the messages I get, the impact this podcast is having, I feel very, very blessed. And just a quick intro for me, I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I love guiding people to truly be their authentic selves, to shine their lights. I really do feel like we're being pushed to really connect with who we are, and I love guiding people to do that. And I also get to interview some amazing guests. I'm excited to have Ianthe on the podcast today. I only recently met her, and she's already had an impact. And I'd love for her to introduce herself. So over to you.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here, Nimesh. This is beautiful. I already feel so supported and loved, and I feel everyone that is listening is meant to be here with us too. It doesn't feel like we're alone. I feel like there's actually a big crowd here. To introduce myself, I love that question. It's so incredibly open. And so there are many ways that I could go. I'm really at a point in my life where I don't want to talk about what I do, and I really want to talk about who we are and why we're here and what we're doing together, and ways that we can help each other not feel lonely, help each other understand that we can go fully into who we are. And the ways that I do that are a few. One is through physical light, literally having a candle company that I've had since 2009. So that's on a very, on a basic scale. There is a physical reminder that we are beings of light. We can connect to the light within us and that's all around us through literal light, a candle. Also fragrance, the senses, understanding that everything is a story, and fragrance for me is telling a story. It's a storytelling. I guess storytelling also is a through line through my life. Everything is a story that we're telling and sharing, and now we're all part of each other's story. So there's that. I'm also a guide and mentor for a mastermind group called Roar with two other beautiful founders, very powerful women. And Maria Tan and Brooke Casanovas. I'd love to bring their names into this conversation, and they're here with us too. And I'm just here I'm open to what comes. So that's me, Ianthe.
Beautiful. I love it. Such a free-flowing soul. I love it. And, just you talk about sound and light. Candles and fire is such a beautiful. I always light a candle before anything I do, and I just love looking at the flames. It's just so much freedom in it. It's like looking at water. There's so much freedom. It's just it's so powerful. I'll always light a candle before any Akashic record reading. It is inviting the light in. Actually, I think about growing up as a Hindu, and light is such a big part of candles, and it's so beautiful. So I'd love to know a little bit about your history, a little bit about your story. You're very, we've already spoke, but you're a very open soul, and I'd love for you to share about how that feels to be so open, to truly I talk a lot about riding the wave, and I really do feel like right now we're being pushed to ride the wave and just let go. And you always struck me as somebody who's just letting go. How does that feel, and what got you there?
Oh, I love that too. That question is so beautiful, and it brings so many things to my mind. First of all, I was born out of unbelievable twin flame love. My parents were so in love, are still in love, even though my father's now not in earthly body. Their love is so pure, and I came through that. And I think that is rare. I don't know a lot of people who can say that. And I feel extraordinarily grateful that I was brought into the world by such a powerful love that my parents had. That's what I think is the main ingredient in my ability to be open. And then it reminds me of this Hopi Indian prophecy. And I do believe we are all connected in so many ways. And when you mentioned the candle, just going back to that for a second and your Hindu upbringing, No matter where you are on the planet, no matter how you were brought up, I guarantee you there was something around candles and fire and flame. Because humans, we have done this. This is how we've evolved. We control fire from the beginning. And that was a complete change from other animals, other mammals, right? It immediately gave us the opportunity to create and invent and heal and warm and change and alchemical things like changing metals, melting metals. And fire is so important and so integral to who we are, and it's in our DNA, all of us. And it's one of those things that it doesn't matter where you're from or what your culture is. We all have that in common. So I wanted to say that, but the Hopi Indian prophecy, and I'm paraphrasing it, was there is a great river and it's running very fast. It's very powerful water that's running fast. We're all being carried where we need to go. Trust that the river's taking you where you need to go. Relax and let yourself be taken by that stream. Those that cling to the shore will perish. Stay in the water and notice who's in the water with you. And that, to me, every time I wonder and I come up against something where I wonder, is this the right path? Am I in the flow? I can quickly imagine, I can immediately access if I'm clinging to the shore or I'm actually letting the water take me where it needs to go. And that is flow. And I will give you another example of when this was so intense for me personally, if I may.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so when I was in labor with my son, my firstborn, the path for me to have children and bring children into this world was not an easy one. I always knew I wanted to be a mother. I have a maternal energy to give, and I want to be a mother. I've always wanted to be. I was that kid at 5 years old at the party that would take care of the babies that were younger than me, always having this mothering energy. So I had 3 miscarriages in a row, and I was told they didn't know why, and I wasn't maybe going to be able to have a child biologically in this lifetime. And it was unbelievably devastating and terrifying. And then I was at a party and I met this woman who was a makeup artist for film and television from Ireland. Not related to babies, not related to spirituality as far as I knew, but this is where being in flow, this is where these things happen and you just have to be ready and be in the water. So I'm talking to her about, I'm so excited because she did the movie. For those of you that are Gen X out there and have heard of this movie, Excalibur, Helen Mirren stars in it. Okay. You know it, Nimesh.
I do know it. I do know it.
She's the makeup artist from Excalibur. She worked with the director
Wow.
John Borman. So I'm asking her, I'm really getting excited with her about how did you do that scene where they're naked in the forest and then that the leaves fall and the thing. And she's explaining this and she stops and very intensely she grabs my hand and she looks at me in the eyes and she says in her beautiful accent, she says, "You're going to have a child."
Oh, wow.
Out of nowhere. And I said, "What?" And I got tears in my eyes and I took a breath and I said, "Did the host of this party let you know that I just had my 3rd miscarriage and I'm afraid about being able to have a child?" And she said, "No, I'm a white witch. And the BBC has done many documentaries about my work. And I feel you needed to know. You're going to have a child in 14 months."
Wow.
And so she lets go my hand and I decided at that
What do you do
moment,
with that? Yeah.
what am I going to do? I didn't ask for it. I didn't go to get a psychic reading. I wasn't, look, this is what came. So this is what it looks like to be in flow. And when she said that, the next time that I got pregnant, I looked at the due date. And you're not going to be surprised to know that it was exactly 14 months from the party, which then gave me the confidence this child is coming into this world. So being in flow, being open to what comes.
Beautiful. Our guides, and I talk a lot about connecting with our guides on this podcast, and we all have guides, right? Whether it's our intuition, we all have guides that our souls pick to guide us on this journey, and they love to communicate through us through our intuition, but also they love to just communicate in different sorts of ways. And I'm sure that was a channel message, and I'm sure your guides were up there kind of being proud of themselves that they communicated, and I love it.
And I want to say for anyone out there that's listening that says, what do you mean guides? And why do I feel I don't have a guide? And how will I ever know if I have a guide? And is this even real? I was so that person. And I said, there's no way that I'm ever going to know if I have guides. How would I possibly know? You can't prove or disprove that. What I don't understand. And I even went so far as a teenager to say, I'm so uncomfortable with the sensitivity that I have to things that I can't see or touch that I don't even want it. And I closed off to it. And it wasn't until I was going through a massive health issue, crisis, and divorce at the same time with two young children that I finally said, all right, if there's a guide, I want to know your name. And I went to sleep that night and I asked, and I woke up with this name. And then there was a lot of confirmation. And again, I want to just say, it's okay if there are any, this stuff, it's not the proving and the disproving and the scientific methods that we use on the earthly plane. And I'm sorry if I'm using words that sound silly, but it's, there is not a lot of language for this. We
Yeah.
do the best we can. And I try really hard not to use cliches too, Nimesh, because I also am not part of any kind of group that has a certain belief system.
Yeah.
And I think that that's another part about being in flow, and that I would encourage everyone here. The more, and I've heard this from spiritual teachers, I've heard this before, where when we start to identify with a certain thing or way or modality, it can be very constricting and potentially cut us off from the ability to feel what is happening and to be in flow. So
I
I
agree.
try to be open in that way.
No, I agree. I mean, the way I see things like that is, for some reason, our programming says that we need to try and belong to something. And then when we look for religion or groups, or, we're looking for something outside of ourselves. And again, no judgment. There's nothing wrong with, following a rigid religion. Religion gives you rules, guidelines. And if you choose to take that, that's your choice. For me, spiritual journey is all about self. And it's different because everything you need is inside you. And it's just being in flow is, for me, just being in touch with who you are. And that's also where your guides come, right? For me, connecting with guides always comes from intuition, kind of trusting your own intuition. What's your instinct telling me to do? And then that's where your connection to whatever's around you grows. It starts with following you, it starts with following your own instincts. Because a lot of the time, your messages come through your own intuition. And it's just trusting that and letting go of what it looks like, right? Because it's our mind, it's our expectations of how the connection to our guides should look like. And I mean, I've talked a lot about this on this podcast before. It's just building that muscle. So maybe every day, just closing your eyes and just allowing yourself to feel the energy around you. Don't worry about getting any messages at the beginning. Just feel what you feel around you. And then from there, let it grow. I did want to go back to something you said, and I wanted to just stop. I always love to, when I hear great insight, I always love to kind of just stop and just ask the listeners. So you said, when you think about a flowing river, think about, are you flowing with the water or holding onto the sides? I'd love to just stop and ask our listeners. Just imagine you're in a flowing river. You're flowing. Are you flowing with the water or are you holding it to the side? And what would it feel like to let go if you're holding onto the side and just flow? What would that feel like to you? Maybe just try it.
And then notice who's in the water with you.
Ooh,
that's the best part. You notice who's in the water with you. When you're clinging to the shore, you perish, is what the prophecy says. But it's that feeling of clinging to the shore doesn't feel good to anyone. But when you do let go and you're in that river, I love the part about notice who's in the water with you.
Ooh, that's beautiful. And look, I get it, right? Because change for humans. Change is the hardest thing because we like. I'm sure lots of people say, "Well, I love change." And I'm sure most people do. Most people love change when they're in control of change. Most people struggle with not knowing. So letting go and being in the water and just truly trusting, not knowing what's down the river, Actually, that's what the challenging part is.
And what's wild is, yeah, and you mentioned it's the self journey. And then I had this immediate thought of, but it has nothing to do with us at the same time. And there's a freeing thing in when you say, and I'm going to use the word God and I want to tell you that when I use the word God, I am so aware that there are so many connotations and we could not possibly describe it. I will not try to describe it. So whatever that means for you, but when I say God, everything is under some force that is so much more powerful than we can possibly imagine with our human minds. And so the word God is what we're using to contain it, but it's not containable. So everything is that. It's not even self. It's so much bigger than that. And when we do that and we get out of the way of making it about us, even though it is, and this is what the irony comes in, Nimesh. It's funny. And I know it's funny what I'm saying because I'm saying it's not about you. And yet it's your own personal journey. It's
very
all of it.
true.
And it's not one or the other and it's not black and white. So
yeah. I mean, the way I like to say it is we are a soul having a human journey, but we're all part of an energetic collective. And it's just, everybody's just as important as each other. Everyone's role is just as important as each other. But we are part of a collective. I mean, it's like if we feel our vibration of our hands, it's just a vibration. And we're all part of that vibration. So there is a oneness about, feel the current energy. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through some kind of shift. And everybody's going, so it's just, well, hold on a second. If everyone's going through it, then are we different? But that's not to minimize the human journey we're on, because we are meant to expand as a soul through this human experience, but everything is a co-creation. This conversation and kind of wherever it's coming from, I don't claim it's mine at all. I feel like it comes from a different place, and wherever it comes from, I trust. And even when we get triggered by the word God, why? Whether you want to call it God, source, higher power, maybe it's those that are triggered by God is something to do with religion. But again, it's probably because of something you went through, and that trigger is there to teach you something, to help you expand on this journey. So, call it whatever resonates with you. I really believe most people, I know and understand there's something. Don't even want to call it higher than us. There's a power. There's an energy and a vibration that supports us. And at times we don't feel supported. But again, if you go back to your most challenging times and really ask yourself, what did you learn from those times? I really believe you'll realize that actually your biggest growth came from those challenging times. Now, do I wish those challenging times on anybody? No, of course not. But do I wish that growth, that expansion? Yes, I do.
Mm. And it's beautiful to not judge. The judgment comes in when we try to control and we're judging. We're saying, this is a bad experience. This is karma. But the truth is, if we're just in the water again, if we're flowing in that water and we're allowing it to take us where it's meant to take us, and we're trusting that, there's a massive letting go of the control that has to happen for that to occur.
Yeah.
And there's such a freedom in that. And welcoming all of the experiences, like you said, any experience that we have, whether we judge it as good or bad, doesn't matter. There are experiences. We can't change them. They've happened, past, present, and future. For me, time isn't linear. It's all happening at once.
100%.
And here I am having this beautiful exchange with you of energy. And for anyone that's listening at any point in time that they find this, they're having this exchange as well. And we all get to be in this river together, and now we're in the water together. And that might sound strange, or I don't understand, but if you really think about it, I think I would welcome you, like you welcomed everyone to try it. I would welcome you to just picture it. And if it helps you to close your eyes, but just imagine when you start to stress, when you're realizing that you're trying to control an outcome, when you are judging yourself for something you've done in the past, which is impossible to change. Think about that water. Be in that water. What does it feel like on your skin? Is it cold? Are there rocks? How shallow or deep is it? What color is it? Is there a splashing sound coming from the sides? Is the shore soft or is it rocky? Is there a waterfall coming up that you are imagining that you can't see yet? Is there, and I believe that in doing just that exercise now, we're getting out of being so self-involved and we're back into the flow. So I'm
I
always
love
looking
it.
for things like to do that for me.
I love it. And I love the time. It's 3:33. I love how the numbers always, just, why don't we just take a moment just to remind people that try and do this for 7 days. When we're talking about a flowing river, it doesn't need to be a choppy flowing. It could be a calm, serene flowing river, right? So why not try it for 7 days? Just see how you feel. Whenever you feel unbalanced, just imagine you're flowing in water. When you wake up in the morning, imagine you're flowing in water. And just see what that does. And we do take life so too seriously. And right now, if we try and take things and try and control, I really feel it's a time where we have no control. The only thing we control is this moment. So what if we could, in this moment, just picture ourselves in flowing water? I'm
I
curious,
love it.
I love how when you said and you added, imagine who's there with us, because it's, we talked a little bit about this before we began recording, that how the spiritual journey, especially right now, everybody feels like nobody else understands and what they're going through is unique to them. And it is. But if everybody's going through something, I feel like we're always looking for somebody who truly understands what we're going through. But nobody's going to fully understand. But there can be people who, along the way, are there to hold our space.
Yes. And seeing and recognizing who's in the water with you is also a way to non-judgmentally be okay with allowing people to not be in your life and let them, they're clinging to the shore, then they're clinging to the shore. That's their journey. That's what they're doing. We don't have to say, look at them clinging to the shore. I'm in the water. Why aren't they in the water with me? No, that's where, that's the judgment. What I love about this imagery, which again, it's not mine. It comes from a Hopi Indian prophecy. I did not make this up. I will not take credit, but I love it so much. And it's helped me through many times in my life when I've felt myself clinging to the shore. And I quickly remember, oh, wow, I need to let go. I've got to be in this water. And who's with me? And then it's beautiful. Again, non-judgmental. Look who's in the water with me. Like right now, Nimesh, obviously you're in the water with me. Okay.
Thank you.
There are times when there are people, I love these people, and I see that they're clinging to the shore. When they're clinging to the shore, that's simply what they're doing. They're not in the water with me. But I don't have to, again, I don't have to point them out and feel and make them wrong for that. And you can cling to the shore and then also let go and flow. So it's not all or nothing or one or the other. And I love whenever I can be reminded to not judge others and to let it be graceful. Who we are in communication with, let that be graceful. So right now, who I'm in communication with is who is ever is in this water flowing with me. And those that are clinging to the shore, I'm not in communication with right now. They're clinging to the shore. That's what they need. That's their protection for whatever they're going through, the trauma that they're involved in. That's what's required for them. So beautiful, right?
Such a beautiful metaphor. Love it.
Yeah, and I think that I know that there's an epidemic of isolation and loneliness right now on our planet. Maybe it's always been there as long as humans have been. I don't know, but I know right now it's at epidemic proportions, and there have been studies. And a friend of mine shared a study with me recently out of Harvard about it, and another one out of Australia. So what we can do to be a good friend. I mean, it's so simple. How can we be a good friend? Because I think that there's an art to friendship. And if we can be good friends to ourselves first and then to others, perhaps we can help heal this epidemic of loneliness. And if we do that, I believe we're all in the water together.
Really interesting. And just the whole metaphor of clinging to the water and being in the water. And it's the thing is that right now, I do feel that we're being pushed to really look at the souls that are in our lives and challenge ourselves to say, well, hold on, who are the people in our lives where our soul contracts maybe have been incomplete? And it's okay if somebody chooses to cling on. No right or wrong, no judgment. That's their journey. Who are we to try and want to fix them? Who are we to try and go over to the side and try and pull them into the water? No, that's their choice. And no matter how much we want to help loved ones, we have free will. And on this journey of life where we're being pushed to truly expand spiritually and really, it's a choice. And if we try and pull people into the water, then actually we're not letting them make the choice. So it has to be a choice of letting go and just flowing in the water.
Beautiful. And I love how you put that. And it's an illustration of how it's what we do and not what we say that makes a difference for people. So we can say, hey, come on, stop clinging to the shore. I want you to get in this water with me. It's great. And that's us, trying to get people to stop clinging to the shore. However, if we just stop doing that and we just allow ourselves to be carried by this water, what happens? Those people clinging to the shore, they take a little glance. They start to be less afraid. They take a little glance and they see people that are flowing on this water. And at some point, they may feel encouraged by our actions, not by us telling them and cajoling them and berating them and bullying them into it, but by the action of seeing us being carried by the water with others to let go.
I love it. I love it. It's such a metaphor for so much I've been talking about recently. It's just blowing my mind a little bit, but because I'll always talk about, I feel like we are the guides. Our voice is meant to guide. Our example is meant to guide and give people an option. It's not there to force anyone to take that option. It's free will. And I also always think of us as kind of being a little bit ahead and chopping down the branches to give people a path to follow. And so what if us flowing down the river is giving people that option to let go and truly just follow? Because hey, there could be freedom in letting go. It's just life is complicated if we make it complicated. And by the way, I get there's a lot going on the planet, and I feel like the craziness of the planet is just going to get worse over the coming months. And we're going to sometimes feel like letting the outside noise consume us. If we can just truly focus on what's happening inside, focus on the river and letting go and just flowing, that's where I think ease and grace comes from. If we get consumed by the outside noise, then that's where I really feel that we're looking outside of ourselves rather than inside ourselves. But there is a massive change. And look to be your own friend first, right? I love that. Look for your own love inside you. But then, of course, look for who in your world is raising your vibration and who are you clinging on to? And maybe those that you're clinging on to, maybe challenge yourself. And those that are raising your vibration, maybe that's who you need to spend more of your time with. Just a thought.
And we're made up of a lot of water, so we are the river too.
Yeah.
We're all of it. And when you say free will, I want to mention that it brings up for me a huge responsibility. I love it because we have free will. It's not a given that we're going to utilize it. And so what's beautiful about having free will is it is a call to action immediately every single day to not be programmed by forces that are literally on the planet trying to program us out of our free will into groupthink, into taking sides, into choosing to be on a certain team or another team, into looking at things through a lens that's been predetermined and given to us. So, and that's not free will, but it can trick us into thinking it is. So we're given a responsibility in having this free will. It is so beautiful and it's a huge responsibility. I take it very seriously. And I know that I fall prey to those forces that are on purpose giving us a certain lens to look through. And so I have to challenge myself and say, well, am I really exercising my free will if I'm just looking through this, or can I pull back, see the big picture and really go from a place of free will. And it can be scary. It can feel, again, back to isolation and not knowing, and because we want to belong. And actually, there's a whole anthropological study around how human beings in just a little over 100 years ago would never encounter more than 100 people in their entire lifetime. And if you go back thousands of years, you wouldn't encounter more than, I don't know how many, a small amount of people in your entire lifetime. And if you were banished, it was death. Nowadays, we say like, well, fine, banish me. I'll just go over to this other town, or I'll go over to this other country, or I'll go find another friend group or another clique and another. But in our very recent history and still in our DNA is this feeling of, and this I think is why we are so desperate to have connection, this feeling of we will literally die, we will perish, we will not survive if we are banished, if we don't have community, because we couldn't physically handle it. Now that we can, now that in a like right now, our voices right now could be reaching millions of people in one split second.
Yeah. How powerful, eh?
So it's powerful, and but it's also, that's why I'm bringing up, there can be this unbelievable dissonance and disconnect inside where we go, I don't feel safe. I feel alone and isolated, even though I have these millions of people who potentially could be hearing my voice right now, because we still carry this DNA of our ancestors that so recently could not survive without the community being really strong. So we don't want to be ostracized. We don't want to be not liked. So we have to choose this team that everyone's on, or we have to choose this way of being. And that makes it, that's the clinging to the shore.
Yeah. It is wanting to belong. It's such a core human thing that we want to belong to something. But the irony is, when we came onto this planet, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have never truly felt like they belong for everything. They've been looking for other things, maybe religion, maybe maybe communities, whatever you want to call it. And it always starts with you. It always starts being comfortable in your own vibration, your own energy, and knowing that you are the gift. And then from there, you really look at what you attract. And I know I trigger some people sometimes with kind of the simplicity of what I say. And it's even when we talk about flowing with the water and in a free will, I'm sure there's people listening say, well, that's not me. You don't understand my situation because I've got this, this, and this, and this, and I really feel like the world's against me. And I'm sending you so much love. But I also truly believe everything in our external world is a result of something in our internal world. Therefore, your answer is you sitting with you and truly connecting with you. Because everything we're going through is a lesson. It is teaching us something. It is expanding us in some kind of way, right? Love it when the thumbs up comes up. I know I have a big need to help people, right? I love to guide people. I love to help people. But I also know that free will is important. It has to be a choice. So I love to guide people and let people know they have a choice. So you have a choice. Free will, doing nothing is still a choice.
And you brought up something so important, and that is about being a good friend, but being in service. So to me, the fastest bridge to joy is to be in service. And you might say, well, how can I be in service? I have very few resources. I'm struggling right now. I feel like I'm having traumatic experiences. How can I possibly be in service? I promise you can be. I promise you there is no point in your life where you can't be in service. And I mean, it could be as simple as you are walking by and you see a piece of trash on the ground and you pick it up. That's being in service to your community.
Yeah.
You give, and again, there's a technology in how to be a good friend to yourself first. And the technology works like this: give what you need. So first get clear about what you need. And I've had people that say to me, well, I need more money. How am I going to give more money if I need more money, Ianthe? That's ridiculous. Okay. Money is currency, and there are many forms of currency. And I promise you, if you think about it, there's a resource. I remember I had a moment I've had feast or famine in my career because I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never worked in the corporate world. I've never had that steady paycheck life. So there have been times when I've had big windfalls and I've had very, very low points. And there was one point when it was so low financially that I was going to pick the kids up from school, and I had just enough gas in the car to I could go get them from school. But I realized I didn't have any toilet paper in the house, and they were coming home, and I didn't have anything for dinner, and I knew money was coming the next week, but in that moment I didn't have the basic necessities to pick up my kids and make them feel okay. And I didn't want to worry them. And first thing I did was cling to the shore. I started crying. I panicked. I was angry. I made myself wrong. I said horrible things to myself. And then I stopped and I let go. And I remembered this: money is currency. Where's the currency right now? I know that I have everything that I need. I know I do. And I remembered that in a closet, I had been stashing these glass milk bottles that I bought literally over years. And it had filled the whole cabinet. And these had a deposit value if I were to bring them back to the supermarket. And I loaded them into my car and I went to the supermarket, and it ended up, the woman handed me, I remember filling this cart and walking in with these empty glass bottles and feeling like so good, even though there was a part of me, I could have felt shame. I could have felt like, oh, how awful. What are they going to think of me? And those thoughts started to come in, and I stopped them because I went, you know what? This is currency in the form of milk bottles. This is still money, and I still am worthy. And my children are worthy of a mom who can take care of them and figure it out. And I was handed the money for the best toilet paper in the store and dinner for that night and filled up my car with gas.
I mean, isn't it beautiful how the universe delivers? And again, you could have taken it 100%. You could have been, oh God, I can't take those bottles in. People are going to watch me, look at me, and or you can focus on, wow.
And you know what I did too is gratitude is the other gateway to joy. So the other thing is when I went in there with these bottles and I stopped my brain from the clinging to the shore saying, oh, what are they going to think of me? Everyone's looking at me. I said, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to recycle these bottles. Thank you so much for having this in place. And I'm so happy now. And it opens up the possibility for my home to have room to put other things in the cupboard. And, so I went in with just the gratitude changed it instantly. So it's being of service, being a good friend to yourself first, finding ways for gratitude to come in, because that will instantly change the energy. And that's when we talk about vibrations and high vibration, the difference between shame, which by the way, shame has been proven to cause inflammation in the body, which causes disease.
Yeah.
If you catch yourself ever saying shame on you to yourself or anyone in your life, can I please ask you to stop? It just causes inflammation. So it's gratitude. These things raise your vibration, and the opposite of them will lower the vibration. And we're all vibrating all the time and have the opportunity to vibrate high.
And add to that, it's always our intention. It's just, if you're sharing what's your intention? Sometimes people just, I call it trauma bonding. Look what I'm going through. It's, oh my God, it's worse than you. And what's your intention with that? Because misery loves company. If your intention is to guide, this is what I went through. It's like your story about the bottles. You could have been, I was in such a bad space, and look at what I had to do. I had to walk into a supermarket with all these bottles and people watching me, and, or you could, I was in the space, but I let go and I went with the flow, and all of a sudden I remembered these bottles, and, just the story has it's the same story, but it just has a different vibration.
And you shared with me, I did an Akashic reading with you, which was beautiful. And those of you listening who haven't had that opportunity, I highly recommend it. Nimesh has a beautiful way of making you feel so seen. It's just beautiful. And one thing you said was at the end, you said, wow, you have been through so much in this lifetime. Forget other lifetimes, but you said in this lifetime, you've been through so much. It's unbelievable. People wouldn't even believe it. And I think, and hearing that, what's interesting is, yes, and it doesn't matter, because it's not what you've been through. It's how you respond to that
100%.
That you're going through. And what are you doing with it? And I don't need to trauma bond about it. I'm grateful for all of the things that I've been through, because it's gotten me to this point to be with you right now.
100%.
It's allowed me to have unbelievable compassion for others who go through things, but I don't hold on to it like a badge of, look at all the things I've survived. And that it doesn't work for me. That for me is clinging to the shore. I'm not clinging to the shore as much as I can possibly. Trust me, I still do sometimes, but I catch myself.
Of course we do, yeah.
Gotta let go.
It's all part of the journey, right? I mean, once we become awareness, sometimes, oh my God, why did I cling on the shore for so long? No, let it go. It was all part of your journey. And it's really interesting. It's like, I'm sure people listen to your intro and, you kind of being born to loving parents, and comparison is like the worst thing we can do, because there's probably people listening saying, well, I went through a really traumatic childhood, and again, I'm sending you so much love. But I know there's been some painful experiences you've been through too. And, but none of that defines you. It's, as you say, it's how you respond to what happens to you, that even that doesn't define you, but it's really what's in your heart, what's your intention, and realizing you are the gift. It's like we can learn all these modalities. I'm an Akashic record reader, beautiful gift. But it's my energy, my vibration, my intention that I put with that gift that really what it's about. So, as you say, it's like people are struggling financially, right? And money is it's the god of material planes. So of course it's important. But as you say, it's a vibration. It's an energy. And it's like when we think about an energy and a vibration, it starts to switch things around, because if we think of money as a vibration and actually we have negative energy towards it, why is it going to want to come with us, come to us? And the other thing, the rarest thing we have on the planet is time. Time is a human concept, but the thing that we can do and the thing we can give is people our time. And do it and be present, because how often do we have a conversation and we're not present in that conversation? We're thinking about, I've got what am I going to eat later or whatever, and it's like we're not really present. But for me, the most beautiful thing is to have a conversation like this and be present in that conversation. Trust me, the other person may not always realize it at a human level, but their heart and soul knows and understands you're being present. And that's why there's going to be times when all of a sudden you'll be like, it's really weird. People are telling me stuff and they're going really deep. I don't understand. It's because you're listening. It's so interesting. There's other times when people are not really sharing and you start to wonder what shifted. It's because you're not really listening. You're not really present.
It's so true. And that's why I say I feel heard around you, and anyone listening knows that because you're experiencing it now, I'm sure. And yes, and I want you to all know that you are rich beyond measure, because when you think about the currency that's available to you, listening is currency. And you can do that right now. Love is currency. There's so many things, your time, like you said. And so that's real wealth to me, is realizing all of the different forms. Of course, money is one form, but there are so many. So if you start to list all of the forms, then you realize how wealthy you are.
Yeah. And even being grateful, be grateful for the moment. It's easy to say I'm grateful for the food on the table. Be grateful for that morsel of food you're eating. Be present. Because when you were talking about the experiences, it's not, you're talking about flowing in the water. When you attach emotion to what we're doing, be present. It's like, oh my God, I'm flowing in the water, being present. I'm flowing, I'm feeling it. And being present is such a gift. That's why I was talking about being present in a conversation. I'd love for you to share more about, you talked about being grateful and being, if somebody's looking for the right connections and looking for friendship, connecting with themselves, we talked about, is important. What would your guidance be?
Think about, it's back to what I said about give what you need. So think first, what does a good friend look like to you? What does that feel like to you? And start to be that, embody that. So if the answer is a good friend lets me talk about anything I want and doesn't judge me. So where today can you listen to someone talk without judging them? Where today can you take that filter off that you might be using otherwise of, oh, I'm going to wait. If they say this one word, it's going to bother me. Where can you remove that and be truly open to receiving whatever it is that they're saying and sharing? That will start to begin this relationship that becomes a friendship. And then there's a responsibility in the art of friendship. I feel there is a responsibility to show up for yourself and for your friend. So think about ways that you can be thoughtful and show up. Maybe they care a lot about their birthday, so you make sure that's on your calendar. And leading up to that, you have something that you can say to them or share with them. Maybe you write them a poem, you pick a flower for them, or you send them an extravagant gift. It's completely up to you. Whatever that they call it love language, but whatever that is for you, you'll do it. Maybe it's you think about creating a gathering. Maybe it's let's take a walk together, and you set up an invitation, setting up invitations, not. And it's interesting because knowing it all comes from self-awareness. And that's why I say you have to know first, you give what you need. Get very clear with what you need. If you need to be invited in order to feel like you have a friendship and you're not really comfortable inviting, then you know what I'm going to say. You're going to have to invite, because if you need to give what you need. So if you need to be invited, find a way, even if it's a small way, to invite someone. And so getting clear on what it is that you need and then giving that you need will begin a beautiful friendship, and consistency, showing up consistently and allowing them to disappoint you and allowing you to disappoint them. Being okay with being less than perfect and disappointing each other is one of the beauties of having a really good friendship. That is, the art is in that. It's in, oh, you know what? I think I hurt their feelings. I'm going to ask them. Did that hurt your feelings? I felt a shift in the energy when I said this thing. I saw something go across your face. Being present in that moment, to being okay with, we're going to hurt each other's feelings, and I'm still able to be your friend.
Yeah. That's the thing. You're not meant to always get on, right? And it's when you're being hurt, sometimes that's what expands you the most. And actually, those people that know you the most can expand you the most too, right? And it's just so beautiful what you said. Because I'm a big believer, the more you give, the more you get back. Whatever you give, you'll get back tenfold, but it's always your intention. So if you're there for a friend, I've worked on myself quite a lot here. So what's my expectation when I'm there for other people? Because sometimes we expect the same back, right? Oh my God, I went out of my way for this person and they couldn't even be there for me. When I give, my expectation, and I do have expectations, I give, and I know I'm very conscious I give for me because of the way it makes me feel. But my expectation actually is my only expectation is respect. And this is the thing, when you give, what is your expectation? Because what you get back may not be in the form that you're expecting. What if it comes back in a totally different way that you miss it because you're just focused on this person? I didn't get what I expected from this person. But what if the magic the universe has for you is so much more magical than you can truly? And just be open, just give with a full heart, and maybe don't expect anything back, but be open to magic in so many different ways.
I'm so glad you landed on that, because I was going to say the expectations, unfortunately, are going to be the shore clingers. It's going to keep us on the shore. When we set up expectations, we're clinging to the shore, because what happens when we set up an expectation is now we're not actually in the moment to receive what's coming, because we've created an expectation, has with it a story. We've already imagined something. That's what an expectation does. So setting an intention is beautiful, because the intention, a pure intention, is open to whatever comes. After you set the intention, you let it go. Whereas an expectation is going to be clinging to the shore, because now you've set up a scenario. Also, I must say out loud, giving with an expectation is giving to get. And when we're giving in order to get, of course, you can imagine that's not going to be satisfying, and it's probably not going to lead to a lasting, beautiful friendship. And it's not the artistic side of the art of making friends. It is, it's a catch. There's a string attached. There's a carrot dangling. All of these things are not going to help you be in the water with people in the water with you. So I just welcome you to, if you're still, if you notice that that's what you're doing. And yet we're human. So we give and we say, well, I'm giving and I don't expect anything in return. A lot of people will say that, but trust your gut. You can feel the energy when somebody says that. Sometimes that's not actually what they mean. And so you can say, I know you say that, and I get that that's your intention. I'm still feeling like maybe you have an expectation that I do need to do this or that. Have that conversation.
Yeah.
If it's in the air, say it out loud. I mean, that's when you've heard the term, there's an elephant in the room. I don't like elephants sitting in the room with me.
Yeah.
I will point out the elephant in the room. I'll
Love
say,
it.
this doesn't feel right. So,
Yeah.
and we
And
don't have to know why.
the truth that sets you free, right? The truth
Yeah.
sets you free. And but actually, there's so much power in giving with no expectation. So much beauty of just, which is why, it's like those people that help the homeless or whatever, you do it because it makes you feel good. What are you going to get back? Maybe you get back feeling good. You do get something back when you give. You get back what's in your heart. As long as what you expect comes from you, i.e., you're there for a friend, it doesn't matter if they're there for you or not. There's so much beauty in that. It's always your intention. And I guess as we get into the end of the episode, I will remind people to truly look at the relationships, because again, I really feel like we're being pushed to look at the people whose company we keep, what we watch, what we eat. It's such a powerful thing to really kind of be aware of right now. And sometimes you need to clear space in your life, clear the clutter for new and amazing things to come through. So if you have people in your life that are clinging to the shore, it's okay. Let them cling to the shore. It's not for you to pull them. But maybe you clear space to allow people that are flowing with you in the river. So, Ianthe, I can talk to you for hours. It's such a free-flowing conversation. I'm sure there's so much. I'm sure you'll be back with the episode soon, or on the podcast soon. I'd love for you to just kind of any final bits of advice you want to share. Also, I'd love to ask any journal prompts. And also, how can people work with you? How can they reach out? What's the best way to connect?
I would love for you to just, anything that I've shared already, I feel there's enough here that all of us can be, utilizing these tools, which all come from, I love to give what I've learned through mentors. So the journal prompt that I'm going to give now is from a mentor of mine. Her name is Joy Chudikoff, and she's the person that allowed me to first say I'm an entrepreneur and be able to use that term for myself, helped me step into that. And it was a beautiful thing about 20 years ago. She's incredible. This is the journal prompt, and I still use it for myself pretty regularly. And when I do, I find it can be a gut punch. It's a very serious one, but here it is. What are you pretending not to know? It's that simple.
What are you pretending not to know?
What are you pretending not to know?
Wow.
So there's
and
that
maybe
one.
journal on it, maybe look in the mirror and answer that question. So powerful.
Yeah. And then the ways that you can work with me and be in community with me and we can create friendship is that I have a podcast with a dear friend that we just launched, and I'm encouraged by you, Nimesh, because I love how you do this podcast. So we're both just loving this and feeling encouraged to be in this space with you. It's called Unapologetic Uplift, and it's available everywhere where you find podcasts. And we will be having guests. So, of course, we're inviting you. We've already told you that. Can't wait for that episode. And it's a way to show in real time what a friendship looks like. We come from very different backgrounds, Kim Staples and I. And we show you literally, we're going to show you what it looks like to be in the water. And hopefully when one of us is clinging to the shore, the other is encouraging by just being in the water. The other way you can work with me is I do have a mastermind with two other men. So here's the theme. I like to be in community and create friendships. So
Beautiful.
The mastermind I have, it's called Roar. It's radical, original, and real with two incredibly powerful women. Maria Tan, coming to us all the way from the Philippines, and Brooke Casanovas. We all come from different places, different backgrounds, and we are there to support seasoned entrepreneurs to really go far with their vision. It's all about creativity is my piece that I bring to it, and Maria brings clarity and Brooke brings connection. And together we show you again what it's like to work together and grow. And then I do fragrance and candle design and product design for people that want to add that to their brands. So all of this is all in the same theme. It's all about being connected and being in the art of friendship and really truly being such a good friend to yourself and being able to be a good friend to others so that we don't have this epidemic of loneliness anymore and that we can be together as things are rapidly changing and find that we are, as we look around in the water, in a beautiful crowd of people floating along and enjoying it, looking up at the stars or the sun, depending on what time.
Wow. So beautiful. You know, when I listen to every way you serve, for me, it just says love. Sending love, candles, so loving. Creating that community, so much love. You know, the podcast, I'm sure, is going to be amazing. It's just your intention is to be spread love and just be love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Loved having you on the podcast. Thank you for everything you shared. Please do go and listen to the podcast. I'm looking forward to listen to it. It's going to be amazing. By the time we recorded this, I think you've launched just one episode. By the time I'm sure this episode comes out, you would have launched some more. So please do take a look, like, review this episode, but also their episodes. Sending everyone so much love and light. And if you take anything away from this episode, just be in the river. Just be in the river, ride the water, and just as much as possible go with the flow. Be love. Just realize that everybody's going through something. So if you have somebody in your life that's been triggered, yeah, maybe understand they're going through something too. It doesn't mean you have to accept what they're going through, because again, you can leave them clinging to the shore. Sending everyone so much love and light. And Ianthe, I'm going to hand over to you to close us out.
Oh, well, I'm setting an intention here on this candle that you are feeling all of the love that your heart can hold right now, and then some, so that you have enough love also to share as you go about your day or night. And thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you. So beautiful. Sending love and light. Bye, everybody.